Hey guys, so today's video is going to be my review for La Llorona. That's my best attempt at it, guys, and that's all you're gonna be able to get because I am obviously not Latina, and I apologize now in advance for my pronunciation for La Llorona. You guys really corrected me, and I'm trying my best. I don't know what's more offensive, not trying at all or trying and failing miserably, so we're gonna try. Anyway, I went and saw this movie yesterday, again by myself. That's just been a thing that I've been doing lately because well, it's something I do enjoy. I don't want it to seem like it's out of obligation or anything. I did see Pet Sematary by myself. I really enjoy going in the morning time and just watching a horror movie. That's kind of my time of day. If I'm gonna go by myself, I get to pick the seat that I want. I don't have to worry about anything else, so it's kind of nice. But it is also because I want to review these movies as soon as possible, and I just don't have many people in my life that enjoy horror movies as much, and the ones that do don't want to see bad ones, so they just kind of don't want to go see every horror movie with me. So The Curse of La Llorona takes place in 1973, I believe, and it follows this woman who is the main character, and we will get into kind of race and things like that about this story because obviously La Llorona is a Mexican folk tale, and I did not grow up hearing it, but I do have Mexican friends and my boyfriend who have heard this story in the past. There's been some talk about why it takes place in Los Angeles or in America at all. However, the people that I know grew up in America and still heard it, so I think it is something that just like if you have Mexican heritage, you do hear about it, even if you're living in America, I think. So it follows this woman played by Linda... We have a cat who wants to cuddle. Linda Cardellini. Cardellini. This video is really exposing me for how terrible I am at pronunciations. Now, I know and love Linda from Scooby-Doo playing Velma. That was way back in the day, and I did think it was funny that there was a little Easter egg in there of the daughter of Linda's character watching Scooby-Doo. I don't know if that was intentional, but I liked that. So follows this woman and her two children. She is basically a caseworker for this other woman who has locked her two boys in the closet and claiming that she's going to get them, things like that. So it kind of takes place from there. I don't want to give too much away about the real plot of the movie because I don't want to spoil it because I didn't know any of it going in. I'm not even sure if it's in the trailers or not, but just in case, I'm not going to get too into it. But basically, La Llorona follows this woman and her two children. Now, the folktale of La Llorona is basically this woman who was cheated on by her husband back in the 1600s, and in order to get back at him, she drowned their two children because it was something that he cherished, obviously. And then after realizing what she had actually done, she had immense guilt, and thus she cries. So if you hear her cries, she will come after you, and she wants to take your children, basically. And so this is told to children of the Mexican heritage anyway, saying that you better be good, otherwise La Llorona is gonna come after you and take you and drown you. So this movie is produced by James Wan, and it is directed by Michael Chavez, who is also on the bill for The Conjuring 3 coming out in 2020. So it has some good people on it. Obviously we know and love James Wan from like the Conjuring franchise and everything like that, which is not my favorite franchise in the world. We've discussed this in the Era of Remakes video. Not my favorite. I loved the beginning of it, but I did not enjoy any of the Annabelle movies. However, I do kind of think the new Annabelle movie coming out this year, Coming Home or something like that, looks kind of good. Is it just me? Anyway, so I didn't really have expectations going into it. Well, I did. I kind of expected it to be bad, or at least cheesy, or I don't know, just off, something about it off, if not anything offensive. But I was pleasantly surprised when I got in there and I realized that they do highlight a lot of Mexican culture and heritage in the movie, and I was so excited to see that. I was really worried it was going to be super whitewashed. It is taking place in Los Angeles, in California obviously, which you could argue is like close to Mexico. It does follow some Mexican characters here and there, and there are a lot of Mexican actors in the film as well. It's just the main actress is not. But Raymond Cruz is one of the main characters, and this is actually the first time he's ever been top billed for a cast instead of playing a side character. Obviously, I think it might have been better had it taken place in Mexico. There is some Spanish in there, but had it all been done in Spanish and things like that, I think would have been better. trailer, but given that it's an American film, I think it did okay with the culture and everything. But that is also coming from someone who is not Latina, so let's just keep that in mind. I'm not really one to say, so if you felt differently and you are of that culture or that heritage, please let me know down in the comments. Another thing that pleasantly surprised me about this movie, it scared the shit out of me. I know, it's weird. I did not expect that. I was by myself, which I watch horror movies by myself all the time. No issues at all. I'm pretty desensitized to that. And I was really surprised at how terrified I was of this film. However, I say that with a little bit of bias because obviously The Ring and Mama are two of my favorite movies of all time. And honestly, this movie really reminded me of Mama in a way. So, you know, creepy supernatural women are just my thing. It's my niche of horror that really gets to me and really affects me. The same thing happened with The Ring the first time I saw it and with Mama. I just felt this fear and this terror about these women. I'm not gonna say that this is going to scare everyone. I think it's definitely creepy and you can't argue that the scares were done really well. But it's not going to scare everyone, especially if those aren't really your things and they don't scare you normally. I don't know if this movie's really going to get to you like that, like it did me. But keep an open mind about it. Skimble is just so active in this video. One thing I really liked that they did is they had so many opportunities to have a jump scare in so many places. Like whenever La Llorona would come on screen at first, like for that scene when she would come on screen the first time, you would expect a jump of some kind, but there were scenes where she was just chilling on the side or in the background and you're like, oh my god, like it looks so horrifying, but there's no sound. Like they didn't make you jump to see it, you know? Sometimes I hate when movies and directors and writers will underscore scares with booming sounds that don't make sense. You know, it's one thing to have a jump scare followed by a sound that makes sense, something that's actually happening in the movie, but to just add music to it tells me, like you're telling me when to be scared, and you shouldn't necessarily rely on that. You shouldn't need that. So although La Llorona definitely had a lot of jump scares in it, it was regulated, I feel, and they played with it smartly. I feel like a lot of them, I mean, there was way too many jump scares overall because I'm just not a fan of them, but they had other opportunities where you would expect a jump scare and there wasn't one. And those moments and scenes made me so happy. So as far as storyline, I felt it was believable. I really liked that it took place in 1973 and there wasn't like this technology thing. And then the scare factor on top of that. So those are the two, well, acting also was really great. So it had a lot of things going for it that I was very pleasantly surprised at how much I really enjoyed this. Like I liked this more than Pet Sematary, and that is so backwards from what I would have assumed in January when I was looking at the future movies coming out. So if you get a chance to see this in theaters, I highly recommend it, if not for anything, for the sounds, because some of the scenes were really amplified by the fact that I could feel the sounds of the movie because they were so loud. I felt like that really added to a lot of scenes. Now I'm going to get into some spoilers and some things about the movie that if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want ruined, I wouldn't watch the rest of this. I have a cat hair in my mouth. And then I'll kind of talk about the end of the film and stuff like that. So if you have not seen it yet, please tune out now. Okay, so obviously the biggest thing about this film, and I wanted to keep it in the spoiler section of this review because I didn't know if it's something that everyone knew, because I knew going into it because it was kind of ruined for me on social media, but I didn't know if everyone knew, and I didn't want to just put it and throw it out there just in case. It is technically a spoiler. So surprise, this movie is part of the Conjuring franchise. I know, totally unexpected, but kind of not surprised. I mean, it's produced by James Wan. Did we expect anything else? It's not really connected that strongly to the Conjuring franchise. Obviously it takes place in 1970s. It's after Annabelle happens, the first film. So we have the same character of the priest from the Annabelle film in La Llorona, and he does have kind of a bigger role in it. And then he kind of just briefly mentions the doll of Annabelle. So it wasn't too much. It wasn't like in your face that they were obviously connected. Obviously you would recognize the actor and the character, and then also he talks briefly about Annabelle. So there's just that like small connection there that tells you that it takes place in the same universe, but I don't think it was so overt that it was annoying, especially as someone who's kind of tired of the Conjuring franchise. So I didn't necessarily hate the fact that it was connected in some way. It was actually kind of cool to see it happen in the film because I didn't know how they were going to connect it all. My neighbor's walking. I had read before I saw the film that they were related and they were in the same universe, but I didn't know how they were related, so I got to see that happen in the film, so I thought that was cool. I do think that there will be a second film in this series. I think it will become a series because it is part of the Conjuring franchise and we know they love a sequel. I'm not sure if I mean, I'm gonna compare it a little bit to other movies in the Conjuring universe because they connected it, so why not? I don't know if I liked it as much as The Conjuring, but I do really love this movie, and I do think that it's mostly because of my bias and my opinions about scary women in movies. It's just one of my favorite ways to scare myself is something like this, you know, like The Woman in Black, and those kind of haunting, ghostly movies are some of my favorites and the ones that really scare me. So that is why I loved it so much. It's not necessarily for the story or the way it was produced or, you know, done or anything like that. I truly believe it's because of the folklore tale of La Llorona and also the beautiful imagery of it. I do think that they showed her face way too much and she ended up being not so scary, and that is the exact flaw that happened and the exact mistake that they did in Mama, because eventually you just weren't scared of Mama anymore, and that's kind of what happened with this one. Is they I mean, the face was, I don't think the makeup was done that great. You could tell they were contacts. Was it scary? A little bit when you first see it, but I wish they had hidden most of her face and just shown little glimpses of what was under her hair or her veil, and that would have been so much more scary to me. But there were plenty of moments that I was terrified, so that still goes without saying. So I'd say have an open mind about it because it was definitely a surprise for me that I liked it. And so far this year, I have not liked the movies that I thought I would besides Us, and then I have liked movies I didn't think I would, like La Llorona, I liked Escape Room, and I liked Captive State, which I'll talk about in another video. Not really a horror movie, but still amazing. Didn't think I'd like it so much. That seems to be the pattern of this year's theme of movies. Hopefully not for much longer, because we are getting into some movies pretty soon that I'm very excited about and I don't want to be disappointed, but hopefully that means that I'll like some other movies that maybe are originals and are gonna be better than I think they are. That's not so bad. So please tell me your thoughts of The Curse of La Llorona down below if you've seen it. Also, especially your thoughts about how the story and the folklore was told in the movie and how you feel about it and everything and how it was portrayed in the film. I really, really want to know from people who are actually Latino or Latina. Love to hear your opinions about that. So I hope you enjoyed today's video and I will talk to you soon. Bye.